They tell you to never whistle in the woods at night. They say it's an invitation. I used to think that was just a way to keep kids from wandering off. A bit of flavor to spice up a camping trip. But there is a truth to the deep woods that you only understand when the sun dips below the horizon and the air turns cold. There is a stretch of the northern wilderness where the pines grow so tall and so crowded that the forest floor is a permanent graveyard of needles and shadows. No birds nest there. No squirrels chatter. It's a place of absolute suffocating stillness. I was out there 3 years ago. I'd set up my camp near a dry creek bed. The fire was my only company. A small circle of orange light fighting back an ocean of black. I was staring into the flames, watching the way the woods curled and turned into ash. When the woods went dead, I don't mean quiet, I mean dead. The wind stopped mid-gust. The rustle of the trees ceased. It felt as if the entire world had been placed under a heavy wool blanket. And then, from the darkness, just beyond the firelight, came a sound that didn't belong. It sounded like a dry branch being dragged across a stone. Rhythmic, patient. I grabbed my lantern and held it high. The light bled into the trees, and for a second, I thought I was looking at a dead birch tree. It was pale, grayish white, and perfectly still. But birch trees don't have joints. Birch trees don't have shoulders. It was standing behind a thicket. Its body so thin, it was almost two-dimensional. It had to be 8, maybe 9 feet tall. Its arms hung past its knees, ending in fingers that twitched like the legs of a dying insect. I couldn't see a face. Where the eyes should have been, there were only deep, bruised hollows. It didn't have a mouth, just a jagged slit in the gray skin. I didn't move. I couldn't. My heart was slamming against my ribs so hard I thought it would break them. We stayed like that for what felt like hours. Me frozen by the fire. It moving the pines. Then it tilted its head. It made a sound. A high clicking noise deep in its throat, and it stepped forward. It didn't walk like a man. It moved like a spider, its long limbs bending at impossible angles, silent as a ghost. I scrambled back, knocking over my chair, my eyes locked on the spot where it had been, but it was fast. Faster than anything that thin should be. It blurred into the shadows, circling the perimeter of my camp. I could hear its long nails clicking against the bark of the trees. Getting closer with every rotation, I threw a heavy log into the fire, desperate for more light, more heat, anything to keep the dark at bay. The flames roared up, and for a split second, the camp was bright as day. The creature was gone. The woods were empty. I sat back down on my log, gasping for air, clutching my knife until my knuckles turned white. I told myself it was a hallucination, maybe exhaustion. The tricks of the light, I forced my breathing to slow down. I told myself I was safe. That's when I felt the weight. The log I was sitting on shifted. Something heavy had sat down on the other end of it, just outside the reach of the fire's glow. I didn't turn my head. I couldn't, but out of the corner of my eye, I saw it. A long, pale hand with fingers like white sticks slowly reaching out. It rested those black, jagged nails on the wood right next to my hip. And then, I felt a breath. It wasn't warm. It was cold. Smelling of wet earth and old copper. It huffed against my ear, a dry, rattling sound that shaped itself into something that almost sounded like a word. Stay. I didn't stay. I ran. I ran until my lungs burned and the sun broke over the hills. I left everything behind, the tent, the gear, the keys, and never went back for my things. Because I know if I go back into those pines, they'd still be sitting there on that log, waiting for me to finish the story. They say telling these stories by the campfire is like lighting a beacon. You're just signaling to the dark that you're still here,